Okki Soebagio. I pronounced that perfectly, I know.
Yes, that's right.
Wonderful. So tonight, if you're interested in entrepreneurism, social impact, you've come to the right show. But you know, the bit which I'm really looking forward to actually is this. You're a wonderful bridge between obviously Indonesian and foreigner expat culture, which I think in business is so important for us to understand. I've made so many rudimentary mistakes just out of not knowing, right? So I'm looking forward to hopping into that tonight as well. And you are one of the partners at Bali Investment Club.
Correct.
And founder of
Purpose.
There you go, Purpose NFT, which we'll get into afterwards. My name is Robert Ian Bonnick, the tourism architect, and we're here every Monday, 6 p.m. Come for pre-networking, 6:30. We go live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube as we approach almost episode 300. We're close.
Wow.
Closing in.
Yes.
4 years, episode 300, and this is all about entrepreneurs and social impact here in Bali.
Correct.
Now, Okki, so first question which comes up in my mind is, what kind of got you started in this whole social impact sphere? And then we'll cover the projects that you're doing later. But I'm interested to know the soul of you. So give us a bit of an insight into when it started for you and what triggered it, or what trigger points there were.
Okay. So there are a couple of events in my life that triggers me moving, sort of like pivoting myself into social impact or environmental impact kind of angle. I used to work in a very competitive environment, like telcos and banking and IT technology. Those businesses are very, very competitive, and I called those industry a suicidal industry. IT, for example, I spoke to Peter just now earlier. He was with telco. He used to work for KPN, and they bought a lot of 3G licenses back in the days. And before even they started to deploy the 3G, 4G came out. So they had to sell their 3G licenses all over the world just to finance everything and to restructure the whole thing. So this technology thing, what I call is the life cycle is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Airlines industry needs 50 years to reach economic of scale, 50 million users. Facebook took 2 years. A Pokemon game, 2 weeks, 50 million user. So the cycle is getting shorter. So now the game is not about finding, you can always try to find a new technology or things like that, but there are a lot of applications that you can put on the existing technology that you can leverage towards your day-to-day life. So that's and being in that game, everything is very fast-paced and everything is very suicidal, I would say. I was like, wow, I need to go to a slower to a slower lane. And then I see Bali, with the beaches, people laid back, but then there's a lot of things that you can do over here as well. And that's where I meet a lot of people and started to do things that is a bit more impact angle kind of project. Then Bali Investment Club picked me coming into the company, and then we started to invest in various projects here in the island. And not only in Bali, but we also have projects outside Bali. And then last year in August 2021, I founded Purpose NFT, or Purpose Art, I would say.
Cool. So as you can see, for those of you watching here in the studio audience, Okki can speak. Right? So you have two people up here who can talk a lot. So he didn't even answer the question. Did you notice that? You notice that? But look, bear with us. We're going to get there, right? We're going to get there. I love you, Okki.
Yes,
I love
thank
you.
you, brother.
He, by the way, he's like my brother from the same mother, right? It took us about, I think we were supposed to meet like a year ago or so.
Yes,
and then we tried to meet up.
We've been missing each other for many, many times. Yeah.
And once I met up, it was like I was looking in the mirror. Different kind of mirror. But a mirror nonetheless.
Correct.
So, all right. So what the question is, and what I'm looking for, because you have an amazing soul, and I want people to see this, right?
Yes.
So I want people to see and feel what I see and feel. Yeah. So for you were a kid growing up in where? So was it Jakarta?
Okay, Jakarta. Yeah, I was born in Bandung, which is 3 hours away from Jakarta. It's a very nice, beautiful city, and I grew up in Jakarta. So I went to elementary school in Jakarta, middle school, high school. So I'm a Jakarta boy. You know, I'm very proud of it. Hello, Jakarta. Yeah. So and then after high school, I moved to the States. Yeah. So I live in I went to school in Washington, D.C., in Virginia. It's a suburb of Washington, D.C. And then I also live in New York for a couple of years, but total 16 years in the U.S. Yeah. So, and then I moved back to Jakarta, trying to serve my country, right? In a way, like bringing all these, back then, 2006, a lot of IT related, but I've been going back since 1996 for a couple of different projects. Yeah. And then 5 years in Jakarta, traffic jam, man. So, and then I see Bali, and I've been coming to Bali since I was a kid, and I've been wanting to live here. In fact, in 1996, the first time I came back from the US, I tried to live here doing my IT, developing some IT projects. But back then, Bali has a very poor electricity problem. So we have like power outage like 20 times a day. So I couldn't, we're doing programming and, developing stuff. Boom, power out. It's like, okay, so we wait, and then half an hour later, the power back on. All right, power back on again, but it's like 5-10 times a day. Yeah. So we decided to, cannot do it. Close the shop, move it to Jakarta. So I've been traveling between 1996 to 2006.
All right, so, I just want a quick show of hands. So now, raise your hand if you think he answered the question. Oh. Raise your hand if you think he didn't answer the question. There are some liars in this audience. Have you noticed? Yeah. There's one guy, you're either one or the other, right? Yeah, but it's like, it's looking around like, I am Okki's friend. I don't want to show. It's like, and I saw the hand creeping up.
No. What was the question again? I got lost in
I know, me too. All right, so let me make it easier. And I appreciate that. So what I'm looking for, right, is the qualities. So you're moving towards social impact. Okay. So what kind of qualities? Because I can see you as being this rambunctious young man at school in Jakarta. Then you're bouncing around to the US, which we'll get into in a minute. But I'm looking for maybe, what were those breadcrumbs? I mean, you mentioned one about being suicidal on the job, but so as a person growing up in Jakarta, what early signs were there? Do you think? I love people to get a story about you that was leading you to where you are now.
I see a lot of imbalances, like inequalities. That's how I see it. I mean, Jakarta is a very metropolitan city, but you see a lot of poor people. But then there is a lot of rich people also in Jakarta. I hang out with the two, so it's kind of like wow, the gap is so big, and I think that's what triggers me a long time ago. After I spent my time in this suicidal industry for many years, I was like, this is not right, and then so when I moved to Bali, then I tried to sort of position myself in of course, Bali is about tourism, and then so I tried to sort of create the sustainable tourism angle, and then see how tourism can benefit the stakeholders. And then so that's where I started to come in and coming into this impact angle.
Got it. Thank you, my brother. So now if people, we'll get into exactly what impact socially you are doing and what drives you. But I want to step back. So there are people here, and as I look into the audience, I see some people here who I would call an activist, not looking at you, Carol, right there, right? Very passionate woman, driven. I see Emilio in the back who's doing an incredible project we'll talk about later on. I see different people here, and I see, people here saying, well, the way that we're going, the way the world is going, is that we're moving away from this model of it's all about me, making money, doing this, I win, you lose. Right? I win, you lose. And it's becoming more about, like we, right? So how can it be that, as Guido would say, how can we create 4 wins? Quadruple win, not just a win-win, but a win-win-win. So 4 wins, which means that it's sustainable and ecological. So let me give you an example. So here in Bali, Indonesia, Trihita Kadana is a triangle, for those of you who don't know, and this triangle is for Balinese, it's the way to happiness is one way to describe it. And I'll go for the 3 points. So the 3 essences of it is man to man, right? So human to human, let's get it right. So prosperity. The other one is human to the environment. Then the other one is human to God, which I call culture. So all the things which I look at when I look at helping business, consulting, is I put them through those 3 points to ensure that if we can hit these 3 points, then that could give us a quadruple win. Win, 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 right? Yeah. Okay, so then when you start to look at these projects, which we'll get into some examples later, how do you see it, right? Because you come from a conventional business world working for AOL, which he worked for AOL, for those of you who didn't realize, and you've met and you've helped a lot of very rich, affluent, wealthy people. But what I see about you and spending time with you is that you have the soul of the people. So the projects that you do are about how do we impact and uplift humanity in how we do and what we do. So my question to you is, keeping all of that in mind, so when you look at companies to help, what is it that you look for, and what is it that you're looking to impart?
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting question. When you're talking about impact projects, obviously you need to have a very strong impact statements.
Just double checking. So can we hear? Can we hear?
Can you guys hear me?
No, I can't hear. So can we turn up the sound, please, Ichi and the guys? Okay.
So we need to have a very strong impact angle, whether it's a social or environmental. That's the 2 angle that we're working on. Like in Bali Investment Club, for example, one of our first investment is a company called BukaPO. It's something like GoFood, like you can order food online, but GoFood is for warung and restaurants. This is mom and pops cooking at home. Okay, so the guy come into to our company when they have it's only a business plan. So Bali Investment Club only invests in a company that already has a revenue, so it makes sure that the business model actually works. So we told them, okay, why don't you bootstrap, and then you come back to us after you have revenue. So 6 months later, the guy managed to have about 100 merchants and about 70 million rupiah per month revenue. So we decided to invest in the company. Of course, it's not because of only the numbers. We also take a look at the guy, the infrastructure, and a couple of different other angles. So we invested about 100,000 at that time. And right now, they have, as of last month, they have about 900 merchants, about 4 billion rupiah per month. So that's really impact, I think. And what's interesting is there's Olaf, the CEO. We have coffee like once a month. He lives in Jimbaran, so kind of like cannot do every week. So he told me that the top sales is this mother. I don't know whether it's single mom or forget, but she makes es cendol, which is like a local dessert from her house. 100 million a month. From one person, 100 million a month for one person, from the convenience of her house. So that's where she has three kids. They almost quit school because of the pandemic, now they're all back in school and stuff like that. That's a very strong impact. That's because you empower all these small, medium enterprises. In fact, it's like very low because it's at home. They don't even have an outlet. They cook at home. Like that's one very strong impact angle. Number 2 companies that we also invest is a company called Indosol. It's actually down here in Batu Bolong. It's a sandal company that does that is made out of recycled tires. So they make like a flip-flops out of recycled tires. So very nice flip-flop, good quality. I'm supposed to use it, yeah, but I didn't use it today. And so that's the 2 other company. The other company that now we have, a company called Robberies. Very strong impact angle. It's a furniture company based in Surabaya. They made the furniture from recycled plastic. So they collect plastic, they burn it, and then they made it as a table, chair with a very high design. So it's not very simple, but it's very nice. It's a company called Robberies. Yeah.
Now we'll share the microphone. Though we'll test this one in a minute. If it doesn't work, then we'll stick with this one. So these are some of the investments that you're doing. Got that, which is great. I love the mum and pop one. That was when you told me, it blew my mind. But let's go behind. So you strike me as a person. Now we're going to get into the NFT project later. But you strike me as a person who presents as being a happy guy, right? And I get it. Everyone here gets this beautiful energy that you have, right? So my question is, what creates that? Where does that come from? And if you have bad days, how do you swap it? How do you make it back to this Okki 2.0 who's kind of happy? So we're getting a bit into your mindset and your heart set. This is what I'd love to know.
Yes. Well, when I was a kid, I have 3 siblings. I have 1 sister and 2 brothers. My sister lives in Eindhoven. The 2 brothers lives in Jakarta. And as an Indonesian, you are a very social person. I mean, we have big families. Like my mom, she has 8 siblings, and she's the oldest. My dad has 5 siblings, and each of these siblings have like 4 or 5 kids. So we're always like a big family. But in Jakarta, I think there are only like 2 or 3 of their siblings lives there. So I don't really hang out with my cousins because they are in other cities. So the only way to get around and to get social is with your friends. And then so when I remember I was in 6th grade of elementary school. Sorry, 1st grade of middle school, 7th grade. So I had a vision. I have to make as many friends as possible, because maybe I read in some books or something, 1,000 friends is not enough. 1 enemy is too many, or something like that, right? And then so from when I was in middle school, I just go out there and connect with people. And as I grow older, right now, when we connect, and I always think on how can I add value to that relationship. Like what are you doing, Robert? And how can I help you with achieving your goals through whatever that I have, right? So it's openness, transparency, what I'm doing, what I have, what you have, and then we create something together. And that has always been my mission since a long time ago. So when I connect with new guys, I mean, any of you, maybe we just met tonight, like Matt or something, then I would text you and, hello, how are you? Are you free for coffee or lunch or dinner? And then I would go for you, and then we explore. What are the things that we can explore or add value together.
So then when Okki wakes up, so questions will come after, just hold them up. Thank you, my brother. So when you wake up, maybe you're not this guy that we see now. You know, do you have down days? Number one. Number two, if you do, how do you make it back up?
Of course, there are down days due to crypto crash, for example. Everybody familiar?
Crypto crash affected just a few people here.
I was like, you know, don't put your eggs in one basket, yeah? So, of course, there are down days due to whatever, you know, and I'm just trying to get time for myself to, I usually just get out a bit from not from the reality, but from my day-to-day, and contemplate a little bit, and then get myself in order, then just move on. You have to be positive at all times.
So we spoke earlier on about that there are certain, let's call them, like the DNA, you know. So for those of you who don't know, the motto of Indonesia is Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, which is unity and diversity. And we've mentioned in Bali, there's Trihita Kadana, there's Takwamasi, there's a few. So which, for people who maybe don't know, maybe watching this from outside of Indonesia, so which elements of what I call Indonesian DNA come into your life or come through you and into business? What would they be?
I think I kind of like also realized that as I'm doing a lot of business later as I grew up. I think, and when we were a kid, we were always told that Indonesians are ramah tamah, very friendly. And I thought it was, I mean, what was the reason you don't have to be friendly? But then when I travel the world, then I see, you know, the other side of the world not always as friendly as the Indonesian, as most Indonesians, right? So I travel to different places, and people actually behave maybe 180 degrees. I remember I went to one country I don't have to mention the place, and I got so much racism treatment from the people from that particular place. I was like, you know, why you know, that then I realized why Indonesians are very, very friendly, you know, like compared to other nations or other people from different countries, yeah.
So you mentioned a phrase to me earlier on. Do you remember what it was?
Friendly?
No. When we were speaking prior to this interview, you mentioned one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gotong royong.
That's the one.
Yeah, gotong royong is Indonesian helping each other. So it's like a collective effort. So in Indonesia, if you go to like suburb, and I think it also happens. Like I saw a movie about Amish in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania. They do the same thing. So like there's this big village, and if the guy's house was broken or something, and the whole village is actually coming towards that guy's house, and then they build the house together. No charge, nothing. It's just that it's a collective thingy. And that has been around in Indonesia for many, many years. That gotong royong concept has been around for many years, but then there is capitalism coming in, and how do I say, not really competition, yeah, but maybe a bit of competition coming in, and people started to adopt different values. And as the economy progresses, then the other values coming in, and the old values fading away. You know, especially when you see it in the big cities, and I think it happens everywhere as well. And not only in Indonesia, but in many other places that is not as developed. I think a very similar thing is happening. But in Indonesia, gotong royong it's in our DNA. So we help people. I mean, I'm sure many of you has been on a scooter and you fall down somewhere, and then suddenly people coming out from the house and just help you without asking or something. That's a very common. In America, don't go there. I mean, don't help, because you can be jeopardized by helping because of whatever, I don't know.
You know, so on that cultural aspect, so you're here doing business, and what I see of you is that you're this tremendous bridge.
Yes.
So you're able to bridge between Indonesian and foreigner, especially US. So quite a few people come here to do business in Indonesia and make some really easy mistakes. Not
Yes.
because they're bad people, but because they just don't understand how it works, right?
Yes.
And you spent a lot of time like culturally adjusting those coming into Indonesia to literally just adjust to doing
Yes.
business here.
Exactly.
So then, just for people here to know, 'cause I think it's very interesting, you know, what are maybe, if we choose three, quickly choose three, what are the three kind of classic mistakes that foreigners make when it comes to doing business in Indonesia with Indonesians, and how can they overcome them? Maybe we do one first.
The common mistakes.
Yeah.
I think you really need to take your time when you come to Indonesia, especially when you come for the first time. Don't come and set up your company and then bring whatever that you think that you want to do over here without understanding. Give yourself 6 months to 1 year to mingle socially, you know, like to understand different cases that is happening, you know, maybe do a bit research online about what's going on. There are so many horror stories as well as funny stories, yeah. But I have a very interesting, coming to that, I have a very interesting friend who he's a very big businessman now in Indonesia. He said to me, Indonesia is the best country to do business. He said, if you want a very profitable business, you go to China. The cost is very efficient. The government gives you like a big tax break, and the bureaucracy is not as complicated as Indonesia. But China, you're not going to be happy in China. In Indonesia, your profit is not as big, you know, but you are the happiest. That's what they said. This is coming from a very big multi-millionaire businessman coming from Sweden. John Lundin, that's his name. He said to me like that.
So one is that come, take your time, feel the place out before you do it. Two is realize sooner or later that Indonesia is the best place to do business because you're the happiest.
Exactly.
So what would a third one be? Now let's get deep. Let's get to a meaty one, right? Of the mistakes that some foreigners make when coming to Indonesia to do business. What the mistake that they make quickly, and what's the solution to it? Yeah.
I think they're very exclusive. That's the word, you know. Like many foreigners, when they come to Indonesia, they're trying to do this business, and they position themselves as a more superior in a way. That is the problem. I mean, from the beginning, you're thinking that these foreigners thinking like, oh, we have a better system, we have a better concept, and things like that. And when you come to Indonesia, they're trying to push it by themselves, you know, like they're trying to push the thing. And one of the things that I suggest is to have a local partner, like an Indonesian partner, that, you know, like that 6 months to 1 year while you're going around and meeting different people and things like that. Then you find your Indonesian partners, and then you explore with them, right? For that 6 months to 1 year, then you start with him. And then I see a lot of success story with this kind of stories, because your local Indonesian partner will grow together with you. Will bring it's his interest as well to bring you all the way up to the thing. I think I mentioned to Rob the other, you know, like 2-3 weeks ago. Imagine I'm going to Manchester or Bristol, you know, as an Indonesian, and setting up a business there by myself, and I'm only employing Indonesians over there, and then, you know, like, can you imagine how the locals looking at me is like, what is this guy doing? You know, you're setting up a company, opening this business, that business, but only employs, you know, like very exclusive, only Indonesians or only whatever. So then, you know, the locals don't see it properly in a way. So you need to embrace, you need to indulge yourself with your ecosystem.
And it's a really important conversation. So for those of you here, we won't have time to go deep into this one, but we had a meeting
Yes.
About 12 people, some very influential Indonesians, foreigners as well, and we were discussing this.
Yes.
You know, it comes on both sides, right? So you were mentioning that there was a lady, no names mentioned, but who wouldn't invest in a company because Indo was there, but there was no Indonesians in that company.
Yes.
Was one. Then on the other side, you know, we had an Indonesian lady in recruitment who went to a very well-known business here in Canggu, and was treated in a way that I think was reprehensible, right? So there's this need for people to come together to openly discuss this, so we can find better ways, because we're both into this co-creation, this co-elevation, right?
Correct.
And what that takes is understanding on both sides. So,
and respect.
And respect. So we'll get into that another time, another interview. So get into business now, because I know a few people here are into NFTs. I can see as I look out there. Actually, just a raise of hands. Who here has an NFT project right now? One. Emilio, put your hand up, man. It's you too. There you go. Far out. All right. Okay. Who here has not heard of NFTs? Great. So who here has heard of NFTs? That should be everybody else, by the way, just in case you're wondering. I see one guy there go like... I started thinking, it's like, do I put my hand up for this time? It's like, yes, you do. Put your hand up. All right, good. Okay, so let's talk quickly about this NFT project that you've launched.
Yes, exactly.
And so we can kind of understand a little bit. So firstly, what is it?
Yes.
What purpose is it solving?
Yes. So I was involved with a lot of impact projects from Bali Investment Club and other things. And August 21st, 2021, last year, 2 a.m. at night, I was doing among my trading and NFT browsing. Then I got an idea of how to use this NFT as a tool to solve global problems. I mean, I know this sounds like, oh, what do you mean? You know, like using NFT to solve global problems. But then at the moment, we have a lot of nonprofit organizations or NGOs around the world fighting for different causes. They are fighting for climate change. They're fighting for diseases like HIV Foundation, Cancer Foundation. There's Bye-Bye Plastic Bags, Sungai Watch, that's on the local level. And globally, there are so many nonprofit organizations that's already been structured, very thoughtful with all these different experts, PhDs and all, trying to solve global problems. So these guys are the experts of in tackling the global problems. So on the other side, there is this NFT where it's sort of like a digital art with a little bit of a royalty scheme inside. And I was like, how do we do this to help these guys? How do we use NFT to help these guys solving the world's problem, right? So the current royalty schemes on the existing NFT market is about 7 to 10% right now. So I go a little bit more extreme. So I create like we design like a marketplace, like a Tinder marketplace. At Tinder, I'm sure everybody is familiar with Tinder, for artists and the nonprofit organization. So the nonprofit, they have to like the artwork from the artist. The artist also has to like the cause that is promoted by the nonprofit. So when there is a match, then the project starts. The project starts means then you start developing the NFT collection, and this NFT collection will be pushed to the market, where when people buys the NFT, the money will be split between the artist and the nonprofit to achieve their goals. So thank you, Sophie. So
Sophie, Yak Magazine, congratulations for launching Yak Magazine podcast. Well done, Sophie.
Significant, the name.
Significant.
So that's the thing. Now the difference is in our series, like for example, we're gonna be launching our first NFT collection called plastic-free series. This is in collaboration with Bye Bye Plastic Bag, which is a very well-known Balinese anti-plastic education NGO here in Bali. So we will release like 11,111 NFTs, where 10,000 of them will be priced at $10. And then 1,000 of them will be about $100. This is estimate. We are using currently a Polygon or Matic as our currency. And then all the way up, we have one NFT at $100,000. But so when people wants to donate or wants to support Bye Bye Plastic Bag, they can invest in this NFT, where the money will be split between the artists and the nonprofit. But if you only buy the 10, let's say, oh, I like Bye Bye Plastic Bag, I want to support, but I don't have that much money. I just buy the $10 one. So $10, okay, not 100,000, $10. So he buys the $10. This $10, because I just want to participate, the $10 NFT will have 50% royalties. The $100 NFTs will have 40%, go all the way up. Then the 100,000 NFT has only 10% royalties. That's how we do it.
Got it. Now, I know tonight I'm doing show of hands to see if you guys are all awake, but who followed that? Put your hands up. Just interested to know. So be honest, who didn't follow that or doesn't really get it? Right? Just be honest.
Okay.
Thank you. Great. Appreciate it. So I always love to check in because, NFTs is a whole new world for a lot of people, me included.
Correct.
And I think part of the challenge is, how do you explain it to people in a way that they understand it and in a way that they can participate and see the value.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll make it one because I know you like to talk. So one or even two real world values that you can acquire through NFTs. Two things which you think would be really valuable for people to know about NFTs.
Well, number one, NFT is a digital product. So somebody in New York, they can help Bye Bye Plastic Bag in Bali instantly. That's one thing. So it's an immediate. That's number one. So Melati from Bye Bye Plastic Bag can immediately get somebody to buy her NFT and get the money right away instantly to support her movement. That's number one. Number two, the NFT, it's unlimited money. So if Elon Musk wants to give $1 billion to Bye Bye Plastic Bag, he can do it, like any amount, as low as $10. We're gonna have, in our next edition, we're gonna have $1 NFT that we're going to attach to, let's say, Starbucks. So when you buy Starbucks, you get this Bye Bye Plastic Bag NFT in a Starbucks that you can trade or you can collect. It's sort of like I don't know if you guys understand about NFT, but it's sort of like a digital art. And every time you sell it or every time you buy it, there's a transaction fees or royalties attached to it, and these royalties is going back for the cost or for the artist.
So for those people who understand or those people who don't, what Okki is saying is that with this digital product, it can be written into what we call the smart contract,
correct,
which underpins the code of how this operates for forever. To basically send a percentage, if it's sold on and on and on,
exactly,
it goes back to the artist
and to the nonprofits.
And to nonprofits. So it's actually phenomenal.
Yes.
So now what we're going to do now is there's so much I want to ask you, but I love people to get their questions asked as well. So now is going to be a moment in about a minute or two's time. If you have a question, now we've moved across quite a few different areas tonight. So is that going to be, that will be tangled, my brother, so just untangle it. So if you have any questions about any of the areas, it might be about NFTs, it might be about Okki's business life that we haven't jumped into this time, but I'm sure we'll get a chance later. Please feel free just to raise your hand, and then that microphone there will come around to you, and please feel free to ask your question. And then afterwards, in about 20 minutes time, we will finish the live, and then we'll have about maybe a 10 or 15 minute Q&A that won't be on camera or recorded otherwise. Other people are like, if it's not on camera, but is it recorded voice? No, it's not. No voice, no camera. And then after that, if you want to meet with Okki, then he'll be here for another half an hour or so after that, just so you're aware of the process and that you do have some time with him if you want to. So last question from me at this point, and then please, if you have a question, put your hand up. Okay, so I see you now as a person with some incredible qualities, right? What we always love to do is to give people watching hope, inspiration,
yes.
right? So if I were to ask you, Okki, so which 3 qualities do you have or possess that you may have learnt recently or were there from the very beginning? But which 3 qualities would you say have been essential in your success, that somebody else can emulate that success by having these 3 qualities? What would they be and why?
Number 1 is definitely interpersonal skills. You know, I have many friends from meeting. I have a lot of friends by sitting next to each other on the way in the plane, because we have 13-hour flight. So there's no way I don't talk to this guy next to me for 13 hours. In fact, I see that as an opportunity, because you have a uninterruptible 13 hours of conversation with this guy.
Who would like to sit next to Okki on a 13-hour flight? Raise your hand. You have some friends in the room?
Yes.
You have some friends in the room?
That's a Singapore-Amsterdam flight, SQ6.
We'll be like, I've got a phone call. Damn it!
You know, so I see that. You know, like I see that. So there are things where, because we live in a very connected world today, and there are so many interruptions. So I do a lot of things during my flights, because there is no signal, nothing. But now you have Wi-Fi on the plane, so that's another game. But then you can kind of like concentrate, do your thing, finish it, right? So I think from those 3 qualities, I mean, I don't want to get going out, but number 1 is interpersonal skill. I think you really need to be able to just talk to the person next to you and say, hello, my name is Okki, or my name is whoever. You know, you have to be able to open up that conversation, because the guy next to you, he actually want to get to know you, but he doesn't have that thing. So you break that ice by you start it first. So this is kind of like chicken and egg, right? So you have to be the chicken so that you break it. So that's how I make so many friends. I have a lot of friends, by the way. So that's number 1 qualities. Number 2, I think I explore with these guys, right? So you as I mentioned earlier, so we have the conversation, and I usually ask their background. So, and where are you right now, and what's your goal? So you kind of like get to know each other, right? That's number 2.
Openness, number 1.
Transparency.
Transparency.
Honesty.
Honesty.
You know, like,
and then the question, you know, like, where are you going?
Exactly.
What's your next 3 months?
What's your goal? What's your mission?
Yeah.
You know, what's the color of your parachute, if you want to go to that book? Or what are you doing? And then I will try to connect with them, right? And to see if I can add value to this guy.
Okay.
And that's how, through my network or through whatever. And I don't expect, but maybe he can also do the same thing when I'm telling him what's my goal and everything. So he will connect somebody through. Yeah. So openness, that's number 1. So 1 is the interpersonal skill. Yeah. Number 2 is openness, right? And number 3 is follow up. Basically, you follow up, because there are so many. A long time ago, through my failures, there are many opportunities that I don't follow up seriously. You know, like, so people get disappointed, because I thought you committed to do something for me or something like that. So those are the three things that brings me here today.
Got it. So we'll come back to failures, but before that, raise of hands. Anyone has a question? Raise your hand and we'll get the microphone to you. We're one over here, but before it gets to Natalie, it's a long way. So we go, is that okay, Natalie, if we do Matthew and Lucas first, and then we'll come to you? You might need to move. I'm not sure how long the cable is. Hey, Benjamin, good to see you. So, first question. Have we got the microphone to Matthew? Just raise your hand, brother. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Gentleman here first. Wait, Nicholas first. Sorry. Nicholas, yeah, you had a question before. Yeah. Yep. Then we go to Matthew, Lucas, Natalie. Okay.
So one thing you mentioned that sounded really interesting.
1 second, Nicholas. We're just going to make sure we can hear you. Just give us a moment. So we're just making sure your microphone is on. Okay, please speak now.
One thing you mentioned that's obvious to a lot of visitors like me was there was a tragic sort of plastic issue here just floating in the sea for many years, and then something happened. It seems better now. You mentioned your project recycled plastic furniture or something. Can you describe the improvements on the island, or why for some reason it just seems better now than it was 2 or 3 years ago?
So the question is, why is it better now?
Yeah, I mean, talk about your project. People started recycling, or it just, if I had to mention one thing that was heartbreaking in Bali, it was the amount of plastic floating in the sea, and it seems to have somehow gotten better in 3 years. I'm not sure what happened.
Well, first of all, there's Bye Bye Plastic Bag movement started almost 10 years ago by Melati, and she was really I think a real young activist that started it all. She did, I think she was doing like a hunger strike to stop the island from using the plastic straw and plastic bags. I mean, you can still see it. Like yesterday I was in Legian and I didn't finish my big sandwich, and I told the lady, can I take away this thing? And she gave me a box and a plastic bag. I was like, why is this still here? I thought this is already illegal. So a lot of enforcement needs to be done, like to do this. But I think with the social media and the internet, and I think also the schools are teaching, so things are getting better in terms of awareness. I think that's what it is.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for the question.
I'll send you the furniture company after this. Yeah.
So the next question is Matthew. Yeah, so raise your hand, Matthew, so he can see you. Yeah. Thanks again, Nicholas. Appreciate it, mate.
Yeah. A couple questions about the Bali Investment Club.
Mm-hmm.
So one is, you mentioned it was social impact.
Yes.
And one of the things that I've seen quite a bit is very potentially impactful programs
Yes.
Are not profitable, and then they lose the ability to be impactful.
Yes.
So the one you mentioned about the people selling food out of their home, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah,
and it
buka
sounds like
PO.
Say again?
Buka PO.
Buka PO.
Is in English is an open PO. PO is purchase order.
Yeah. So I guess first question is, what other types of investments have you made, or in the process, et cetera, or would you like to see that have the potential to really be very impactful and also profitable?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other question is, can you explain the club aspect of the Bali Investment Club? Is this open to investors? Can you talk about that a little bit, please?
Yes. It is very hard to...
You're all good. We're going to pass it on to Lucas, so he's ready. That's all.
At Bali Investment Club, we are getting a lot of application from different startups. By the way, we invest only in early stage companies. Yeah? We don't invest in very established companies. Our ticket size is between 100,000 to like maybe max $1 million. So very, very early stage. It is very difficult to find a company that is making a very strong impact statement, but then at the same time is financially sustainable. So that's why every quarter we only come up with 1 or 2. It's not every day, because there are many impact projects, but they're not financially sustainable. In BIC, that's our job. That's why our investors By the way, we are open to anyone who wants to invest to us. You can come to our website, baliinvestment.club, and then you can register yourself and just mention that you heard this about the company from this event or from me or something, and then you'll get somebody from our company will follow up with you. It is not easy to find an impactful company. It's a challenge that is financially sustainable. Otherwise, it becomes like a foundation where, and that's what purpose is all about. You know, we finance that part of the other impact, not because it is not financially sustainable. It's a non-profit organization that we push it through donation market. If you guys don't know, in the U.S. we have about $450 billion per year on the donation market. People donate every day through GoFundMe, or your credit cards being charged to UNICEF or different things. That's about $450 billion in the US. So maybe globally it's about 800. You double it, you know, just for an easy guesstimate. And 69% of these guys are retails, B2C. So we're talking about $500 billion a year donation market coming from B2C. You give $10, $100 through GoFundMe or something like that every year. This goes to religious organization, education, you know, humanitarian, environment, you know, like medical health, so many things. So.
Great, thank you. Now, we've got Lucas, you've got the microphone as well. So what we're going to do, Ben as well. All right, so we've got Lucas, we've got Natalie, ladies before gentlemen, Ben. And so one question now, because we want to keep this to an hour if we can. And remember that after this, we'll close off the camera and your questions will be answered, all right? So we just do one question each. So Lucas, over to you, Natalie, and then Ben. Yeah.
Hi, Okki again.
Hello,
my question to you would be, being a well-traveled person as you are, and having connections in both sides of the fence, both inside Indonesia and outside, people that can really move things to happen, right? Where do you see Indonesia in the next 10 years? In particular,
one question.
Yeah. In particular, especially like I invest in Tesla a lot, and there was talks about them opening Gigafactory here, and that's a sign of progress on the country,
Yes.
in my opinion. So,
Yes.
So Natalie, grab the microphone. Yeah.
So Indonesia in 10 years, we have gone through a lot of events as a nation, you know. 32 years with Suharto, and then we have 1997, the Reformasi, and then now we have Jokowi. Jokowi really makes a very different kind of president. He's a president that is not coming from the elite, and he is our hope. And after second terms, he really does it. You know, like I'm very proud. I think most Indonesians, we are very, very proud of Jokowi. And you can see the progress, not only in Java, but he goes all the way to Papua. He creates Trans-Papua. And this area has never been touched. Yeah? I mean, Indonesia is big. For many of you who's been here in Bali just recently, we have 17,000 islands, and our nation is as big as the United States, but 2/3 of our areas are oceans. So a lot of maritime-based opportunity that has not really been explored in Indonesia. So when you're talking about for the next 10 years, with political stability, very young population, and growth, I think Indonesia is going to be coming in. We are already in G20 at the moment in terms of our economic size, and I think in 10 years we're going to be you'll see a lot of progress. That's what I'm saying.
Great question, Brother Lucas, as usual. Thank you, my brother. And quickly before we go to Natalie, so a few stats, right? So
Yes.
Indonesia, number 4 largest economy, was predicted 2030. It will happen a lot sooner.
Yes.
'Cause we haven't gone to this tourism part. I'll leave that for last. And, you know, what I've seen, and we do a lot of things on this show, which if you've been following for the last four years, there is some incredible talent here in Indonesia, both from Indonesians and foreigners which are coming in calling Indonesia home. And, you know, I think the biggest opportunity is seeing how we can, again, co-elevate, right?
Yes.
Because as you alluded to before, you know, about if you went to the UK, set up a business and employed only Indonesians, well, someone might have something to say about that, right? And it wouldn't really work out. So here, you know, what I can see is that we had, 3 weeks ago, we had 2 young Indonesians, and they were phenomenal. If you weren't here, whew, you missed something. And they were able to walk the tightrope of national pride,
Yes.
but not at the exclusivity of other people, including foreigners, but were able to say, let's take what is ours.
Yes.
Let's be proud of who we are,
Yes.
and know that we have got this.
Yes.
We have got the resources, we have got the time, we've got the stability, we've got the political power, and we've got the raw materials
Yes.
and financial stability, which I said twice, to become a world power.
Yes.
Right? And this is what I see occurring more and more and more. And the more of these interviews that we do with people like you, you're a bridge, as I mentioned before,
Yes.
the more it comes. And look, we laugh a lot, you and I, you know, but there's a serious side that we're both very much aligned to, which is about, again, how do we bring things together? And not everyone would be able to do this.
Yes.
But let's find the ones who can, like Sophie behind the Yak magazine, been doing it for 20 years, whatever it's been.
Yes.
Sophie, respect to you. But how can we do that, right? Because where we can go in the future, I see Indonesia as being a proof of concept for the rest of the world.
Yes.
And when you look at Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, like DNA comes from the national motto. Now, God save the Queen. I'm an English guy. I'm proud of being English. God save the Queen versus unity and diversity. Which one do you think's going to last? Which one do you think's going to last?
Bhinneka Tunggal Ika.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, again, look, I'll always be English. There was a time where I used to say, where I lay my hat is my home. Not quite true,
Yes.
because where I was born, where I grew up, and I'm proudly English.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is that, like, let's look forwards,
Yes.
because we have moved from this me economy to a we quadruple win economy.
Yes, yes.
And those who don't move will be left behind,
Yes.
which is why Indonesia's winning
Yes.
and is way ahead.
I think it's not about winning and losing or being the most powerful country in the world or 4th most powerful country, but I think the word is harmony. Like why you like Bali like this. Bali's the center of Balinese lifestyle is all about harmony. Like the triangle that you mentioned, the three. What is it called?
Trihita Kadana.
Trihita Kadana. So it's how do you get a harmonious relationship with all these things, and when Indonesia is happens to be in a position that we have the natural resources, we have the market, we have the young population. I mean, and then the national pride is also there, right? But it's not about. Again, it's not about being. We don't want to be like, okay, we're Indonesia, like #1 in the world. No, I mean, but we would like to grow harmoniously. I think that's the concept. Yeah.
And that's the reason why it's winning. Because
Yes.
see, if you win like that, then people say, oh, that works.
Exactly.
We should do the same. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
referring to, yeah?
Back to Bhinneka Tunggal Ika as one of our the motto of our country. We also have the principles of the country. Pancasila. Pancasila is a five principles of Indonesia. One is the ketuhanan yang Maha Esa, which is believe in God. Number 2 is humanity. Number 3 is unity in diversity. Number 4 is democracy. And number 4 is keadilan social welfare. So Sukarno, our first president, spoke in the General Assembly in the United Nations in New York. I think it was in the 40s or in the 50s. He was explaining about the Panchasila concept, and that concept was thrown out, was created, was formed by our founding fathers, because our country is so diverse. We have 700 different tribes in the whole 17,000 island, and that model can actually works for the world. You know, believe it or not. I mean, it resembles a little United Nations here, with in Southeast Asia, I would say. So, and I'm very proud of that. I mean, if you can look for that Sukarno speech in the United Nations talking about Panchasila, I think you'll be blown away. I was blown away. He was talking in English very passionately, talking about this young country who just born, and he was one of the founding fathers. And I was like, wow, Sukarno, you can be the leader of the world, uniting all this, you know, the whole world is a bit messed right now.
Unity and diversity.
Unity and diversity, yes.
Sister Natalie, over to you.
Oh, hello, nice to meet you.
Hello, Natalie.
Thank you for the inspiration. I love your energy and passion.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm curious, what do you see in your personal bigger vision? Let's say 5, 10, 20 years from now. And by that, I mean your personal vision in a bigger context when it comes to the impact that you want to see happen in the world, that you want to be part of creating with your entrepreneurship and, well, everything that you're doing and creating, like 5, 10, 20 years. Yeah, what do you see?
Wow.
Say the best to last, brother.
Yeah. At the moment, I don't really have like a big plan, Natalie. I just go with the flow. I go with the flow, but the concept, as I mentioned to Rob earlier, I would like to add value to people in my surroundings. And I'm very open for anyone to have coffee or lunch or dinner with me. I'm a foodie guy, by the way. I eat everything, and I like to try new stuff and explore the kind of collaboration that we can do together. I don't know what it is, but I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of relationship with just various people in different part of the world, or especially in Indonesia. And if you have a great concept or a great idea, I would like to, and if it's for the good, I would like to support you with what I have. So I think that's, and when you're asking about 10, 15, 20 years from now, I'm a bit older than you think. Yeah? I mean, 20 years from now, I'll be very old.
He looks young. I do know how old
5
he is.
years. 10.
So
It blew me away. 35.
So I think what I want to do is to create bigger impacts or bigger value, adding bigger value to my surroundings, to our community, to our society. In any ways, yeah.
Okay.
So what we're going to thank you, Natalie, because
Thank
one
you.
question we're going to go back to you. So if you grab the mic to Ben now, Emilio, I'm giving you notice, man, which I don't give people normally, because I think what you're doing is really important. So I want you, in a minute, right, 30 seconds, little pitch on what it is you have coming up, because I think it's interesting for people here in the NFT space, which I think is quite a big part of where the future is heading. So Ben, it's you, brother. Just one question, my brother. Okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to make it quick. But first, thank you for everything you're saying. It's really interesting, for your energy as well. There are some projects that can be very innovative, and those projects might be a little bit risky and might take time in order for them to become rentable, but they can have a great impact. Like, for example, if I think about electric cars, that wasn't a quick return, but it's a technological revolution. Are you also looking at this type of projects through Bali Investment Club?
Yeah, we're basically open to almost everything. Like we had another company called Evo & Co. They do utensils from seaweed. So it's an eatable utensil. So they do spoon, forks, and packages and things like that from seaweed. It's very sustainable. It's eatable. So we are looking for something innovative, but that also has a very strong impact angle, and already have like a MPV, like MVP, minimum viable product already running, and you have a little bit of a revenue model running into there.
Okay. Because, for example, the
one question, Ben. Look, only because we're short on time.
Sorry.
But in a minute, so if you pass the microphone to your left, yes, and then Emilio. So, Ben, what we're going to do is that after Emilio, I'm going to say one thing. I'm going to get a feedback from this beautiful man over here. Then we'll switch the cameras off, but keep the microphones running. Those were like, what? Right? We'll keep the microphones. We'll switch the microphones off as well, and then you can follow up with that question, okay? And we'll get it answered. So, Emilio here, I met recently. Ichi will get you in a second. Emilio, I met recently, and I think what he's doing for those of you into NFTs, which I think is part of our future, whether we like it or not. I think it's quite powerful what you're doing, brother. So please spend 30 seconds, a minute, explain to people what it is, how they can contribute.
Thank you, Bob. Wonderful show, super guest as usual, great energy, super inspirational. So me and Jesse, we work for one of the biggest blockchain in the space, the Internet Computer Protocol, ICP. And there is something going on, which is the biggest hackathon in the world. I hope everybody knows what a hackathon is. It's called Supernova. It's the biggest hackathon ever. Already got kind of 2,000 people participating. So what we're doing here is running some live event connected to this hackathon here in Bali, where Bali people, Bali project, foreigners in Bali will be, Indonesia will be pitching actually. And the winner of each edition will be sent to an interview to our grant department to be funded eventually for this project.
And the funds are how much? Because that's important.
Usually for this kind of operation is 5K to 100K. The total fund that our blockchain has for these, not for the events, but for the grants in total is quite substantial, is in fact $220 million, I think. So
$6 million will be handed out for Supernova.
For Supernova is 6, yeah. So for the hackathon, totally, globally, is 6 million. For the project that we will select here, usually it could be 5 to 100K, depending on the stage. These are milestone-based things. The grants, the total grants is quite substantial. And by the way, Okki is pitching on the 3rd as well. So
thank you, Emilio.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. So quickly, how do people find out about it? So leave a website or something.
Well, about Supernova itself, it's all over the crypto news, all over the crypto space. People that want to apply for the hackathon, they can do it online until June the 20th. Regarding Bali, the June the 3rd edition is packed with project. June the 10th is packed. June the 17th is
available.
There's one slot available, and we're preparing June 24th. So people basically can apply directly to me. I'm in 2 groups in Bali. S21, which is helping with the organization. People from S21 will be presenting. I'm talking Adrian, I'm talking Melissa, the other Melissas. And in Bali NFT Incubator, which I am one of the administrator of. Great. So yeah, this basically are the best ways to get in touch directly with me, or for people around here with Melissa, with Adrian, with people from the space. Yeah.
All right. Well, look. Well, let's make it easy. Just contact us here, and I'll pass your details on. Thank you, brother. I just love what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Now, the reason why I bring it up, right, is because we're here now, right, in this space of NFT. We're in this opportunity now to find ways, this thing called money, this thing called exchange, right? So we can live Indonesia and the world in general. So I see this new technology as a way to empower those who prior to this time didn't have the tools to be empowered. So now with NFTs, where do you see the future? Because your project, I know, has got a purpose behind it. It's called Purpose NFT, but it's got a purpose behind it. But where do you see the value in NFTs going forward? and what do you think is the most important things that people maybe watching this show now need to consider when it comes to looking into this space?
Okay, I see NFT as we can treat it as a tool, because there are technological components into it, the smart contract, and you can do a lot with it. Imagine it's like your certificate of everything. It's like your house certificate, your car certificate, your car titles, and everything can be in the form of NFT. In fact, in the form of ownership, so you can, so instead of you having your car title, you have your NFT that proves the ownership of your asset. So that, and now it's only the beginning. This is like, remember the birth of the internet back in the early 90s? I was working for AOL. That's one of the first internet company in the world. So, and there was a crash in the year 2000. So like 7, 8 years after the internet was becoming a mass adopted, and there was a big crash in year 2000. And then after that, and then all the other internet company that doesn't really provide value died. And the one that is surviving is the one that really have values, that provides real value to the users or to the stakeholders. Same thing with this blockchain or NFT thingy. Many of the NFT projects are popping up, and now there's a major crash, like a 50% market slash, boom. And it immediately wipes out so many of these startup companies within this space. But the ones that stays provides true values into this. So that's, and this is only the beginning. And I urge you to come and learn about it, participate a little bit. That's why we have this $10 NFT for Bye Bye Plastic Bag that we're gonna launch June 5th. By the way, our website, may I mention here? Yeah. It's purpose.art. Purpose.art. That's where we're gonna launch our the first impact NFT in the island, not the first in the world apparently, because there was somebody from the other side of the world is also doing very similar thing like we do, but it's gonna be one of the first impact NFTs in the island with Bye Bye Plastic Bag. It's called Plastic Free Collection, and we have 11,111 NFTs that we're gonna launch from $10 to $100,000 kind of thing.
And I think the final question to kind of end this off. So you spoke about impact, right?
Yes.
So one of the things that unites you and I is that we're both bridges. So we're both trying to unite people, resources together, avoid duplication, and create manifestation, right?
Yes.
Which spreads, right? Okay. We work with companies creating unique solutions, curated solutions to help them have these quadruple wins, right?
Yes.
Win, win, win. Not just I win, you lose, but we all win. 4 wins for the environment, for people, and for culture, right? Culture, especially here in Bali. Okay, so I think you mentioned there's a project, tourism architecture as well.
Oh, that's right.
That you're working on.
Yes.
Right? That you'd like to let us know about.
Yes.
Because I don't know what it is, so,
Yes.
so I'd love to know.
Okay.
And I think that's a great way to finish the show.
So I have a good friend. Her name is KK. She lives in Sanur. She used to live in Jakarta, but during the pandemic, we discussed about the project. A company called ID Guides. ID Guides is a trekking company. Like if you go trekking to the mountain, you don't want to do by yourself because this is your first time. You need a guide to guide you. So this company, they go to one place, they develop the tracks, and they work together with Banjar, they work together with the authorities, and they train the local people. They train the local people and certify them to become an ID Guide certified guides. So in Jakarta, we already have more than 400 guides that we train and certify to do a trekking in Sentul. Sentul is a mountainous area about 1 hour outside Jakarta. So in 2020, ID Guides comes to Bali, and we did from I think October 2020 to April 2021, we developed what we call the Great Bali Trail. So it's a 220 kilometers, west coast to east coast Bali, 10 days trek, guided by all the local guides in each banjar. So we train about, I think, 80 or 90 guides from different banjars across Bali to do these treks. Now the treks are available. You can go to Instagram and do your bookings there. It's called ID Guides. The lady who runs the business is KK. And I think this is really impactful. It is, number one, it's a carbon neutral. It's trekking. And we do a lot of impacts. And what's interesting is every dollar that you pay for this, it's not only go to the guides, but it also goes to the banjar, goes to the subak, goes to even the warung that goes along the tracks. They get a piece of that revenue just to keep the warung open for every single thing. So it's the traceability of the revenue coming into this organization is there, and I think it's a wonderful project to support. Yeah.
Okki, thank you so much. There's so much more we could discuss. We'll do that at another time. We try and keep this to an hour. I'm pretty sure we're over time, but they're still here. They enjoyed it clearly.
Yes.
So for you here watching via online, just remember that every Monday here, 6:30, come at 6 o'clock, meet some of the great people here, networking, and there's always, you're one person away. Yes. From the person that you need to meet.
Exactly.
Sometimes you realize, sometimes you don't. So come to things like this, where you have people on a mission, on social impact, who are here in Bali, everyone here is doing a project trying to spread their love out. So be a part of it. Remember to look at Speak Up Monday. Join us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube as well. Look forward to seeing you next week. We'll have another guest.
Yes.
Round of applause
Thank you
for
so
our
much.
brother, Okki Soebagio.
Thank you. Are we done?
Not yet.
Not yet. Ah.
Are we off? Not yet. Have any questions for Okki? I think Benjamin.